Hi everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Mohan, you are audible.
Okay.
Hi, Mohan sir. Good afternoon. You're on mute.
Hi Manoj, nice to see you.
Thank you, sir.
Hi Mohanji, how are you, sir?
Deepak, good afternoon. Getting better, getting better.
So health-wise, so you have still not joined, still working remotely?
Yeah, still working remotely because this ligament tear is nuisance, I must say. It's not major one, but I can't move.
Okay. No, thanks for joining. Thanks a lot.
It's pleasure.
So we'll be starting in just 1 minute,
No worries, take your time.
and we are live. So just for your information. So good afternoon, everyone, and a warm welcome to all of you. Uh, as you know that actually today we are having this Seed2Space virtual agriculture roundtable on agriculture inputs. Today the focus is on agrochemicals. Need I just mic check? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, you are audible.
Perfect. So today we'll be talking about agrochemicals and future of agriculture and impact of agriculture of agrochemicals on agriculture. Over past few years, we have seen that Indian agriculture has been navigating a perfect storm. We are seeing the changing monsoon patterns, rising input cost, pest outbreaks, shift in the trade flows, and it's increasingly stringent expectation from regulators, consumers, and global buyers. In this environment, crop protection is no longer just about controlling pests. It sits at the intersection of food security, farmer incomes, environmental sustainability, and global competitiveness. Unlike rest of the world, Indian agriculture is a little bit more complex. And one of the reasons for that is that the humongous amount of land which we cultivate. Close to 150 million hectares is what is our gross cropped area. And it feeds 18% of the global population. However, as we talk about resources, we just have 2.4% of global land and 4% of global water. At the same time, we are already seeing that various studies have shown that the potential crop yield losses in India because of pests, disease, and weeds, that is pre-farm gate, is close to 20%. And even if we talk about a scenario, if we don't use agrochemicals, global research shows that our productivity will fall down to 50%. So a lot of people have this habit of saying that agrochemicals are necessary evil. Though I don't agree with the last word, the evil, because I believe that agrochemicals is ensured that you and me are fed well. Now, if we go by some numbers, if we see about agrochemical industry in India, we are close to 11 billion US dollars, out of which roughly 4.7 billion dollars is domestic and 4.3 billion dollars is export. And out of this $4.7 billion, which we are doing domestic, a substantial part of it is unorganized. And $3.4 billion is what? Is organized trade. But when we talk about the consumption or say active ingredient being used, our consumption is one of the lowest when we talk about the large agrarian economies. India consumes close to 0.4 kg per hectare of active ingredients when we compare to between 1.8 to 2.5 kg per hectare in US, Brazil, or Germany. So in a way, we are trying to say that we use a lot of agrochemicals. That is because of the size of our land holding, not because of we are overusing it. But at the same time, the concern which we are seeing, whether it is about ecology, pollination, residues, human health, and long-time impact of agrochemicals on soil and water quality, they are a reality today. And we are already seeing the conversation going in those crucial directions. While sometimes it is a perception and sometimes it's a reality. And this landscape is also taking care of some of these challenges by getting into evolving innovations. Whether we talk about next generation chemistry, the biologicals and biopesticides, combinations, integrated pest management practices, data driven agriculture, spraying where it is needed, which is called precision agriculture. All of them, they are trying to contribute in a positive way in solving some of the challenges which we have seen when it comes to the environment or green agriculture. And today we are having an excellent panel of experts which will bring different perspective. So we are having Mr. Mohan Babu Rajaram from Bayer. He's a global innovator, has worked extensively across multiple parts of the world. And we would like to understand from him how the global innovation and sustainability lens can be used with respect to R&D and innovation in India. Similarly, we are having Mr. Raj Kapoor, who is from FMC. He is being a old hat when it comes to regulatory environment and policy lens. He has been engaging with the government for decades. We would like to understand from him that how do the regulatory issues or challenges are impacting Indian agriculture and what better can be done. Similarly, we are having Mr. Manoj Varshney, who happens to be taking care of IFFCO-MC. And with the legacy of IFFCO, which is one of the largest fertilizer manufacturer in India and having long reach across every possible taluka in India, and with the cooperative lands, we would like to understand how engaging smallholders and stewardship in that area, as well as climate resilience solution, can take Indian agriculture forward. And last but not least, we'll be having Mr. Roshan Mammen. He's from Coromandel. Again, here we'll be talking about how when they're having a product line which is into nutrient as well as protection, that type of strategy is able to engage farmers and create digital advisory and better channel going forward, delivering what our farmers need in a more economical way. So yes, the aim is simply not to be someone who would be talking about for or against chemicals, but how we come out with a solution which safeguard health of the consumer and profitability of the farmer. So with that, I would like to just jump on with the first question. So Mohan, you have been active, playing a very active role globally when it comes to innovations and working on cutting edge technology. My engagement or interaction with you, whether it was in Singapore or Indonesia, I've seen that actually you've been always trying to find the cutting edge of technology to deploy it with the farmers. Bayer also operates at the cutting edge of technology globally. And how do you decide actually which of these global innovations in crop protection are most relevant and adaptable to Indian agroclimatical and with the Indian regulatory realities as well? And also understand what are the advances in the formulation technology which can reduce dosage, drip reduction, or better tank mix compatibility for our Indian farmers. How do we ensure the Indian agrochemical sector can deliver the solution to the farmer in a more efficient and safe way with lowest cost per acre? Over to you, sir.
Thanks a lot, Deepak. In your opening comments, you said it's a necessary evil to have. But I see it has been blamed more. It means our chemical industry or pesticide industry has been blamed more than the credit it deserves. Having said that, I just want to prove a point before I go to answer your question about the innovation. If you have to bring a new molecule or a new innovation into the world, at least 10 to 12 years of research will happen behind the screen. Testing across topographies, testing across different variable topics like aquatic safety to the aquatic uh, animals or living beings, soil safety, environment safety, human safety, mammal safety, etc., etc., etc. And even the bee safety is another big topic nowadays. So if you put all this, if a company like Bayer has a turnover of X billion, we invest 12% of it straight into the R&D. 12% of our approximately 20 billion plus turnover every year we will be putting into the R&D just to overcome all these safety topics. And out of thousands of molecules that we identify, one sees the light of the day. One molecule. It can be insecticide, it can be herbicide, it can be fungicide. Now, this molecule, after seeing the day of light of the day, has to go through so many regulatory parameters from different countries, different topographies. And once they are convinced, then only they allow it into the country. For example, India, for that sake, they take at least, on an average, 4 to 7 years to approve one molecule into the country, right? So these are the stringent parameters that has or a molecule has to go through or a company has to go through when you innovate a new molecule or launch a new product into the country. Now, Bayer being a global agrochemical giant, we have a mission statement also, Deepak. We call it as health for all, hunger for none. We want to see a universe which is having healthy people, healthy population, at the same time without hunger. Now, in this context, we strive to be innovative every time, bringing in the best of the quality products to the country or to the globe. Now, we have to address several key parameters when we are successfully bringing any innovation into the farmer's plate. Now, let's say 15, 20 years back, we used to get for India or for the Asian context or developing countries context or a smallholders context, we used to bring out of shelf what is available because most of our innovations are used to be done for developed or a large scale farming in the West. Now, in the recent past, that means 1.5 decade to 2 decades, we have started keeping our innovations into different parameters. We broadly segmentize into 4 categories. One, based on regulatory and policy matters, we will innovate a product and launch it in different countries as per the requirements. And secondly, the product and technology adoption. See, sometimes several products that we innovate will be useful for the large scale market or a large holding market like US or Americas or Europe. Those products cannot be adopted for the small holding countries like India or Africa. The third piece, which is economic and marketing strategy. So if a marketing strategy feels that this is the product which can be used in the crops like rice or even cotton, these are the products which we put it into across the globe. Now, the final segment, which is very critical, is a farmer engagement because that's the customer whom we have to see the benefits that we are offering is being very well valid for him. And finally, the sustainability. Now, these are the 4 parameters that we put our products or innovations in, and then accordingly we categorize which product has to be launched where. But the innovation will happen for the global perspective because those days are gone. Lab to land days are gone. Now it is land to lab. We identify a problem in the land or the field that will be carried back to the headquarters or to our scientific world, and accordingly we build up the innovation what is required for the whole world. Now, if you look at the regulatory and the policy challenges that we have in the countries like India, because normally, as I said, it takes 4 to 7 years, and some of the countries can be 1 year or 2 years max. So we go first to establish our product in those countries, and then meanwhile, we keep on working for the country like ours. And we cannot, as Bayer, we have high stakes in India because now we are around 130 years in this country. And this is for a crop protection. Good news is since 2024, we stood third in the world of Bayer from the crop chemicals perspective. So we are very important for Bayer. So we means our nation, our farmers, our consumers, and the sustainability of the country is very important for Bayer. So we rate it as third important country after USA, Brazil, and then India. Now, here, our pesticide registration and data protection is very important. And it's a lengthy process. I think Raju can talk more about it than me, and he's a better person to articulate it. But at the same time, the process is complex. And also data protection is very important for new innovation because copycats are always hovering around. So that's where we take a little bit more time to come into the country than normal. Here, government focus and initiatives are also very important for us because aligning with the innovations with the major government priorities like more crop per drop is one of the key initiatives that government is taking up. So we are there for the food security and as well as sustainable agriculture. Now, second piece, if you look at product and technology adoption, Deepak, I have 5 more minutes. I just want to elaborate a couple of points here.
Please.
Now, these agronomic climatic zones, these are very critical, right? So ours is mostly herbicide and as well as insecticide country, which is very much required. Fungicide, of course, for some of the horticulture crops, it is required. Now, the most important is suitability to the small holding where our whole heart lies. So, unlike the large farms in the West, Indian farmers are often small and fragmented. Uh, Precision agriculture or digital tools, as it is, if we bring it into the country, it may not help us. So, what we are doing is, I give an example. We are establishing an innovation hub in Bangalore, which has been started 3 years back, and it focuses mainly on screening early phase compounds. That means phase one itself we start, means we have just identified and it's back into the country. We start doing trials on that and integrating that particular compound with our digital platforms and also drone technologies. So which can be tailor-made for the smallholders. So in last 3 to 4 years, when we started this has started giving us very good results. And that's where, if you look at this year, I mean 2025, we have launched 2 herbicides and 1 insecticide and 1 fungicide. Believe me, all 4 have took off very nicely because it's been adopted, developed, designed for the sake of Indian customer. So that's how we are building it up. And it also helps us in crop and pest specificity. So see, we have a diverse crops across the country. We all know that. We are unique in the pest and disease profiles. So some of the disease profiles we cannot find elsewhere like what we have. So localized R&D, localized testing, localized designing is definitely helping us. Finally, biological focus. I must say we are doing a lot on the biological front. Uh, Before bringing in biological, I also want to say that uh, because you touched upon precision farming, but we thought more than precision farming, what is needed by Indian farmer is how we move him from a complete need-based, a schedule-based sprays to a need-based sprays. So we are working on that also through our forward farming. And finally, if you look at our market strategy, it is very clear. As I said, India has become third biggest for us. And we look at the molecules or the innovations that we have from the affordability point of view. Accordingly, we create our pricing strategy. And our distribution strategy is also similar. We want to reach the millions of the customers because today our full-time employees are around 600 in the field working across the country. And contractual employees are around 4,800, Deepak. So it's around more than 5,000 plus critical employees who are trained well, are working to reach the consumer. But sometimes, it is not enough. So we are creating new go-to-market programs through our distribution, through our extended arms, we call it as. So we are trying to reach that last mile. And the most important thing and the final comment that I will bring in is farmer engagement and sustainability. So we are trying to engage farmers through our education and training programs, especially through our digital platforms like FarmRise and FarmRise One, and also precision farming tools. We are trying to uh, train them, like drone application technology. It's a rigorous localized training programs that we are conducting. Also supporting drone didis from the government of India. We are now establishing drone hubs in southern part of the country, especially in Telangana, on a test basis, where we have invested around 20 crores, and we have created around if I'm not wrong, around 20 to 30 hubs. Each hub has around four wings, and each wing will be having four drones operating in that particular locality with qualified pilots. So all this we are trying to do in a large scale. Then we have regenerative agriculture focus, which is very, very important, and there are also integration with the digital platforms so that our customer database, believe me, it's around 18 million farmers at this point of time at our core database that we have. We know what they are doing. We know what is their next crop and why they want to take the next crop, and how is their ROI, return on investment, is happening. So we are building up all these kind of tools to help them. And of course, the most important thing, which I must say, and Raju also will appreciate, is the combating counterfeits. You bring the innovation, you work for 1 year so hard, and there are this fly by night players who go with these counterfeits. So we are also trying to address these markets, these problems in our much fragmented market with a robust strategy to protect ourselves. And thanks to CLI and other associations also who are working to address this menace at this point of time. I take a pause here. And
Yes, sure. So, Mohan, actually, two or three very pertinent points you raised, and based on my experience of engaging with different stakeholders, including the government departments as well as various other industry organizations, associations, the three things come very, very clearly, which needs to be worked upon as an ecosystem. We talked about a lot of information is being provided by the companies to get permissions, regulatory approvals, and we have seen that in the last 1 year, the ICR's whole data was compromised at the headquarters. It got deleted, in fact. Then the backup also just disappeared from Hyderabad, right? Now they're trying to find actually how is that happening and what are the challenges around that. So I think one of the recommendation I've been talking to ICR, and I would also use this platform to share that, confidence in the players who bring in their IP, which has, as you rightly mentioned, it costs a lot, right, to this country. They need that at least level of I would say that uh, digital capabilities of the regulators, that actually that data is not compromised. Secondly, in fact, I had opportunity of a couple of years back visiting some of your better life farming centers. I think that is also one of the great concept, and that is able to create an ecosystem at the cluster level, at the grassroots level. And luckily, actually, I have had opportunity of visiting the Varanasi, which is the Prime Minister's constituency itself, and then the work was great. And the third point which you talked about, when we talk about the protection, now many majority of our new rules which is being thought about by the government is where actually you have defined a farmer. Now suddenly what happens is that I am someone who is creating strains based on a bio pesticide or biofertilizer you would have created, or biostimulant which you have created. Now I can replicate it, nobody can question me if I am a farmer. That also goes with the seed. So I think now that's with that context I would come to you, Raju bhai, and with so much of years of experience, I would like to understand from you, right, that regulation in agrochemicals often sit at the intersection of science, public perception, and politics. So, from your corporate affair lens, how do you see and the India's regulatory environment for specifically crop protection, and even like, if you want to touch upon seeds and all that, please be my guest. And how do you see that evolving with some of the challenges which we talked about, and even Mohan we also touched upon?
First of all, thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. I think Mohan has already made the larger context very, very clear, vivid, and explicit. But let me come to see let me put my aspiration as to how do I see regulation happening moving forward. So there are three key elements that need to happen in a regulation. For an aspirational country like India, where the Prime Minister right at the top has set up an Atmanirbhar Krishi, then a Vikasit Bharat, and then India as a source of global food supply. Now, if you join all the three, the imperatives are very clear. That if we need growth, we need technologies. And if we need technologies, we need to enable an ecosystem that encourages introduction of technologies. The source of technologies can be from within the country if the local players invest significant amount of R&D funds. I think Mohan already talked about something like $300 million it requires to discover and bring one molecule to the market. Takes about 11 to 12 years. Takes about significant amount of data generation. So with that context in mind, I think what is very crucial is three elements, like I said: the efficiency, the efficacy, and the transparency. These are the three elements that must be clearly coming out of any regulation. Efficiency, when I say, it means that if the newer products or the newer technologies, again, I'm bringing the context back to India, where we just have about 325, 330 molecules registered in the country. Globally, there are about 1,100, 1,200 molecules available. So why are those molecules not coming into India? That's one question somebody should ask, right? We have now suddenly become a very important and relevant country with one of the highest areas under agriculture. From a climate point of view, one of the most volatile place. This year's rains have taught us that we are living in completely a new climate era. Hence, how do you get introduction of the technology faster is the crucial element. So I would say that's what I keep advocating for, and I keep emphasizing on the regulators, that regulators have ceased to exist in the Insecticide Act 1968 mindset. That mindset was a deficiency mindset. It was a mindset where the country was in desperate need of food. Today, we have moved away from that mindset to a mindset which is called a plenty mindset, or if I may call it a leadership mindset, where India is not only looking at making sure that you have enough food, feed, fodder, fuel, and fiber for the country, but you want to also feed the global markets. Now that means that your mindset has to change from controlling as a regulator to partnering the progress of agriculture. So that is one clear thing which I am very clearly seeking in a new regulation. Promoting innovation is the second clear mindset I'm seeing. Harmonization with the global practices, global standards, etc. That's the third key element that I'm looking at. Safety and trust is the another one, where when the products come into the market, are they safe, and do we have enough trust in the entire approval process and subsequent to those processes. So the authenticity, the integrity of the larger system is very crucial. So when you look at a futuristic regulation. So like I said, one is the mindset. Second is partnership, clearly moving away from being a client-customer relationship to a partnership mindset wherein you're looking at, okay, so instead of saying, okay, let me raise that efficiency, that way my work is done as a regulator, you would say, okay, look, come here. Would you like to provide this also so that I can process it faster? So here the regulation becomes proactive rather than a reactive regulation. I think we moved some distance in India with that mindset where we started with the, let's say, pre-appraisal scrutiny of the dossier. But I think the whole purpose of that, again, we have not been able to harness the benefit of that. The idea when we pushed for it, when the government agreed, was that right up front, when you are about to submit a dossier, you are able to tell, okay, this is what my dossier concerns. Every subject specialist then comes back and says, okay, these are my key concerns. Are you addressing my key concerns in this dossier? Is there enough data? If there is, okay, let's move forward. That way, you could cut down the time from today's 2 to 5 years. You can bring it down to, let's say, less than a year. So this is very critical. The third element in the regulatory which I am wanting to see is the regulatory capability. Do we have capability to assess what we are trying to assess? Today, I mean, our toxicology dossier, if I submit it here, are there people who can assess those? Because these are most advanced data that is being submitted, globally most advanced data. So how would the regulator treat such a data? As a threat or as an embarrassment or as an opportunity to learn or an opportunity to learn and expedite quickly? So I think that's where the government would need to put in the head of the regulator, what is the role? So the role of regulators has to undergo a significant change. Okay, right from attitude to capability to capacity. Like, for example, I'll give you a very interesting example. Okay, when we were last 3 years back, we started advocating that our regulatory capacity is not there, capability is not there. Hence, let's outsource it. We discussed this with the government, Ministry of Ag, regulators, everybody, and then we offered from our side, from the industry side, that okay, what you are charging us 5,000 rupees today for a file, we'll give you 1 lakh of rupees. So by that, you will generate enough funds, use those funds to hire exclusive people in your system who could do a better job of evaluating the dossier. But I think वो 1 lakh रुपया भी रख लिया और regulation में I think I'm not seeing that whether we have moved ahead significantly or not, but I think all that the whole purpose seems to have gotten defeated there. Similarly, there is opportunity in the regulation to address the need of the modern era. Need of the modern era. What are the needs of the modern era? Again, Mohan talked about precision ag. He talked about drones. So when we go global today, so there is a paradigm shift happening. If you look at the global regulation, there's a significant paradigm shift happening there. And how is the paradigm shifting? Paradigm is shifting from a deterministic kind of a mindset to a when it was basically deterministic, it was a single chemical evaluation to now to probabilistic, a holistic framework. So when I'm saying probabilistic, holistic means we are now taking the real world complexities into account. And then we need to address those chemical mixtures, climate impacts, precision technologies also into account as we regulate moving forward. So this is a critical element which I see happening or I see must happen. Similarly, we have to move away from a purely hazard-based approach, which is normally followed by the European Union, to a hybrid of a reduced risk initiative as the US does, or maybe to a holistic risk evaluation approach, which will fast track the entire process while still maintaining significant integrity of the regulation process. Sorry, am I being too complex, or is that okay?
Perfectly fine, Raju.
Okay.
Like,
I'm operating at a philosophical level right now.
It's
that's the
this
future.
is, I think that was the idea of having this. Like, this, we didn't wanted it just to be a networking event.
Yeah.
We wanted to
Similarly,
see the future.
in the old way, what you were doing is you are assessing chemicals in isolation. So the new way, as I see it, would move away from single isolation testing to a grouping of the pesticides into CMGs, common mechanism groups that share a common toxic mode of action, so that you are able to provide a broad framework and do the maintain the integrity and the scrutiny intensity, but simultaneously you are able to expedite the whole process. So you are enhancing the scientific rigor, but you are fast tracking the whole thing also. For example, using two chemicals, mixing them in the field and then using them. So what happens to the cocktail effect on the of the daily dietary exposure? Similarly, there are issues. For example, same MRL on a spice. I mean, yesterday we were discussing this again. Same MRL on a spice and same MRL on rice. The consumption daily intake of rice is significant, whereas the daily intake of a spice would be very minimal. So, what should be your MRL levels? So those kind of things, I think, would now start to feature in the larger discussion that the government would have, so that newer technologies can be brought in. And similarly, as the nanopesticides, etc., started coming in, newer formulations are coming in. So the regulation currently they are using case-by-case approach, but the new data requirements are being drafted to specifically address the stability of the polymer shell, and then release the rate of active ingredient, etc., in a nano form. So what I'm saying is, basically there's a clear shift happening at all ends, in every aspect, whether it be appraisal of the chemistry or appraisal of the toxicity, etc. The other element which I wanted to bring in is, basically there's a significant pressure on reducing the vertebrate animal testing. So instead of testing it on animals, will be forced to go back to look at a new method, which is adverse outcome pathways, for example, AOPs that we call, and then cell-based assess to assess predictable toxicity. So we are moving to prediction now. Speed and the accuracy, instead of the computer modeling, something like a QSAR, that allows regulators to screen thousands of molecules quickly before they even bring it to a physical lab. So I see regulation moving in that direction. The decision that India will have to take is whether they want a European kind of a regulation, or they want a Indian regulation which suits India's need for introducing newer technologies. So that is another element. AI is coming in a big way. So I think that is going to change significantly how regulation will happen moving forward. Because all the stuff that I'm talking, QSR and the crop grouping and all that stuff, the molecule grouping and all that stuff, are going to translate into a significant amount of efficiency in the entire regulatory process. Similarly, as we start to use drones and all, so how do we assess all the impact of those, both not only from a bioefficacy point of view, but from an environmental point of view, from all other aspects? Those are some of the elements that will start to feature in maintaining safe food, etc., etc. So what is second most important? So this is the direction. What is for India, what is critical right now is, I think somewhere I heard that from Mohan also, is how do you get quickly more molecules is by way of offering protection to the innovator any innovator, whether that be Indian innovator or a global innovator. As long as there's an innovation, how do you protect that innovation so that it is not, you're spending so much of money, that money should not go down the drain. How would the money not go down the drain is by so the globally people evolved a system called RDP, regulatory data protection. It is very different from patents. I think people try to deliberately club it together so that there is a confusion and people think it is evergreening of the patent. That is not true at all. This is a regularly practiced system globally wherein an innovator gets a headway of about 4 to 5 or up to 10 years to establish the technology in the market among the farmers and then open it out to everybody else for using. So I think one of the things that India would and should do is quickly introduce the regulatory data protection. We had a meeting with the DPIIT secretary. I think that's one area where we clearly saw that there is an intent to study it harder rather than falling the political blackmail by people who would not want the whole thing to come up. But I think India has no option but to opt for it so that quickly we are able to bring in lots of technology to address big challenges of climate change, big challenges of losses happening due to pests significantly, big challenges of new, for example, genetic engineered crops coming in. How do you adjust your entire regulation to that? So, yeah, so let me just stop here. This is too technical a subject, but I'm talking a lot. So I hope
No,
people are
no,
able to understand a little bit.
no, sure. Very, very excellent intervention. So I would also like to just add here just a couple of points. See, one point what I've seen is that at the topmost level, right, there is urgency. I've seen at the topmost level there is inclusiveness, right? Whether we talk about at the PMO level or at the secretaries level, or even the DG levels. But unfortunately, what happens is that down the line, maybe because of lack of capabilities, right, the insecurity creeps in, and then the file goes once it goes below a secretary or when it goes below a DG, even to below DDG levels, then things get a little bit stuck. And I think as an industry, we'll have to become more pushy. I would not say more vocal because I've seen that in this dispensation, being more vocal doesn't help, but actually, more pervasive, actually more persistent, it always helps. Coming to you, Manojji, we have heard about little bit on the purely, I would say, private sector driven organizations and the viewpoints. Now you are having a cordial connection with IFFCO, which happens to be the farmer driven or a cooperative led model, and with the legacy of the cooperatives mindset in India. How is that DNA influencing IFFCO-MC itself? Going forward in product development, in pricing, in farmer centricity, specifically related to crop protection, how do you take it forward and how that IFFCO legacy, whether it helps or it creates a little bit of a challenge? Also, we would like to understand a little bit from you that what is your innovation agenda or the pipeline going forward?
Okay, thank you, Deepak ji, and first of all, thank you very much for providing me this opportunity, and thank you for including me in this learned panel. I have been learning from the innovators, and I represent a company called a joint venture of IFFCO and Mitsubishi Corporation, which was established in 2015, as has already completed it 10 years in India in August 2025. Uh, Two, three things which was the basic reason for foundation of this joint venture, if I would like. IFFCO being primarily, as you said, farmers own company. So 30% of the India's farmers own IFFCO through their primary agricultural cooperative societies. So PACs being the members of IFFCO, and then shareholders of IFFCO, and then farmers being the shareholders of the individual primary agriculture societies. So that's how it is. 30% of Indian farmers own IFFCO. That's one. Second one is IFFCO is one company which has got 35% share in the fertilizer sector. Now, this company already, when it was almost close to its 50 years, the company realized that the crop protection is still inaccessible to the farmers, right? So though the global innovators, a lot of global innovators, they penetrated deep into the country, but still it was very limited. When we found a common farmer was still not using in the either right way, or was fearing or was exploited in some of the crop protection. So these were some of the aspects which led to the foundation idea of having a venture into agrochemical business. IFFCO could have done it other fertilizer company route, but IFFCO preferred to have a joint venture with a Japanese company, and so that a generic and a global innovation both can be introduced to the Indian farmers. So three things are has been the foundation of our business principle. So one is right price. So we are the only company which has limited the selling price as MRPs, right? So though this is not a welcome move by many, but we are the only one which is practicing it for the last 10 years, and we are happy that we have been able to get, though it's not a very high, but at least 1% market share in the overall agrochemical market. But nevertheless, this beginning has been good, and we are very confident that we'll take this to the next level. Second one is providing the right quality. And so I said is the price, right quality, and in the right amount of educating the farmer. So these were some of the things. I think so far has been so good, and we are happy that we have been able to achieve a 1% market share in the agrochemicals market. Now, all the decisions, if I talk of the farmer centricity, has been the main foundation for introducing any product. Today, we serve close to 85 products, most of them being coming in from different routes. So primarily generics, close to 70% of them being generics. So we are trying to make those generics usage more affordable, and thereby try to bring down the cost of cultivation of the farmer, and trying to contribute to increase the farmer's income. So that's how we are looking our contribution to a farmer economy. We also have introduced many products with global collaborators, whether it's from Japanese origin or from European origin or for American origins. So we are trying to make them affordable also to the Indian farmers. And third one is from the Japanese joint venture strength, wherein we have been collaborating with multiple other innovators and trying to make them accessible to the Indian farmers. So overall, which I would like to sum it up, 10 years has been a great enriching experience. We also learned a lot. Some of our practices or some of our basic principles have helped deliver, create an own identity where farmer is given a choice of buying a product only on MRP, not overexploited by the middlemen or the private trade. And so far, it has worked for us. Now, coming to small holders, this being primarily a farmer's company. So we have been doing all sorts of, whether in terms of packaging, making small packs available, whether it is far locations which are not being served by current big corporations and agrochemicals. So we are serving the farther locations very efficiently. And we have been also working on the application technology, wherein other companies they are talking of drone technology. We are trying to make drone technology accessible in the farther markets, right? So that's how have been our strength or our contribution working on. We have also thought of as sustainability is very, very important. So we have been talking about removing all the red chemicals, even though we have been talking of generics to be made more affordable, but we are not dealing in any red chemistry. We are dealing either in a blue, yellow, or the green ones. We are increasing the proportion of green ones. And also we have been talking about what you call is introduction of biological. So biological crop protection. And in fact, what we have been doing is now looking how can we integrate the biological and chemical crop protection together to make it better affordable for the farmers. So this is what and how we see adding value to this sector.
So, Manoj, one more question to you. IFFCO is having definitely a huge legacy, and I also appreciate the whole idea of Honorable Ministry of Cooperation, Mr. Amit Shah, where he see that, input, output, and the technology, right, dovetailing that through the cooperative model is the way forward. And we have seen successful examples in Spain where that has been able to achieve. And I think that is, I personally believe that that is the way forward for Indian agriculture. Cooperatives are going to be playing a very important role. Unfortunately, they have been sidelined with the just creation of two or three large cooperatives in past. But now, we are seeing that with the topmost level, the clarity of that thought. Going forward, how do you see that, the cooperative model, which is organization like you might not directly be cooperative, but you are having a very strong JV partner, which is a cooperative. Uh, do you see that actually, the connecting with cooperative with the new age innovators or startup, which generally you see happening in the global companies like Mohan talk about in Bayer or in FMC, those type of, and your another partner is from Japan. Do you see those type of innovations also being dovetailed in your future ideas?
Thank you, Deepakji. It's a very nice and a good question. So, in my opinion, there is definitely a good scope in cooperatives because of the reach to the farmers and the direct connect to the farmers. So, any new technology will find an easier route through cooperatives rather than the traditional method which we have established in the last couple of decades. So, in my opinion, I see a good, there is a increasing thrust of government. Government is asking for a new cooperative development policies. There is a upgradation, modernization of cooperative ecosystem happening, right? So all from the regulatory perspective, they are relaxing the rules, they are upgrading their knowledges, they are asking them to come forward, and they are asking them to be part of the business. So, in my opinion, a lot to be extracted from the cooperative sector. And in my opinion, cooperative can contribute to the agrarian development of the country and also help deliver the new innovations to the farmers. In my opinion, yes, there is enough scope.
Fair enough. Actually, we concur 100% on that. Now, I'll go to Roshan ji. So, Roshan ji, Coromandel is having a unique, I would say, vantage point, which is a private company which has been understood the fertilizer business so well. Uh, Again, crop protection also doing pretty well. Uh, in your and you have been having career in multiple organizations. I would like to understand from you what changes are you observing in farmer demand for crop protection, right? And in terms of whether you talk about molecule choice, format, expectations, and also generally what we see is that if a fertilizer company gives something, and we are having now all sort of fertilizer, it is just not urea, DAP, or a single phosphate, or just MOP. We are seeing advanced fertilizers also being purchased by the farmer, and then actually we are having crop protection being delivered by some other company. You're having a vantage point that actually you can completely give the everything what a farmer needs. With that in mind, do you see that the performance improvement or possibility of delivering a holistic crop solution to the farmer could eventually become standalone product itself?
That's very true, Deepakji. We've seen this not just in India, even globally, because we export a lot of products. We have access to global markets also. We're seeing this change in pharma. Now, if you see the last couple of years, globalization has changed to more localization or more regional collaboration. You've seen the commodity prices, especially this year, going down, whereas the cost, especially the logistics cost of the cost of cultivation, has gone up. So the farmer income has actually come down. And I feel that has been a good trigger for the farmer to think, how does he make farming more remunerative? Because if you see, normally farmer cultivates it more as a practice. He doesn't look at cultivation as a business. And I think thanks to some of these changes that the farmer has seen, some of the ability to connect on a digital front, access to information, especially to be able to read, understand, hear various thought process, farmers, I think, are evolving and they are now looking at more cost-effective solutions. So, earlier, farmer is not just blindly following a practice. He is now wanting to see what I did, what is the science behind it, what is the logic behind it. And that is where we are actually, as a company, trying to connect with the farmer. Earlier, we have physical contacts with the farmer. We had large foot on ground who used to go and connect with farmers physically on the ground. Now, with this digital upfront, it's been much more easy. We are able to communicate, we are able to create a message much more effectively using digital forms, using videos, using animations, and then reach a larger set of farmers. So we feel that we've been able to educate farmers with these. We've also seen farmers being more receptive. And also, I think with the younger generation of farmers coming in, with young people coming in, you are seeing a shifts in crop production styles, whether in India or abroad. We are seeing farmers wanting to move to more export-oriented crops or more value crops. They want to see how they can create more value within the crops. So I think farmer, from purely being farming, is now evolving into a business, treating it like a business. So like in any organizations, we see, how do you economize your inputs, how do you economize your conversion cost, and how do you get best value for your output. I think farmer is moving in that direction, and we're very happy to see that. As Coromandel, we always look at farmer first initiatives. So we have, like what you said, Coromandel has multiple business units. We have a unit which runs biological products. We have separate BU which runs independently, who works on biological. We are into nutrition. We have a separate, to bring focus on technology in nutrition. We have a separate specialty nutrient division which looks separately. We created a separate BU under nano fertilizers because we wanted to look at it differently. And then we have the crop protection. So all these BUs are ones with bring in products. And then at the farmer end, you would have seen that we have our own retail stores. Today we have 1,000 plus retail stores which reach out to the farmers. These become the delivery points, not just of delivering solutions or products to the farmer, but actually to be able to translate technologies to the farmer. Our stores principally work on trust, because we don't bring any spurious product. We make sure that the products are tested quality from good sources. They are brought in. And then our field teams comes and educate the farmers that if you have a problem, what is the right solution and what's the right amount of the product that you need to use. So those kind of educations are happening. It is gaining a lot of trust in the farmer. We, through our retail stores, we have started two new initiatives. We have something called a Nutri Clinic, where the farmer can bring his soil and test, and he knows what exactly are the nutrients he should be giving and how much, and what his soil is deficient, what his soil has got surplus. He can adjust his fertilization programs accordingly. Then we have the drone application services, which is also being run as a separate. Farmer can come and take those drone application services. He can choose his own product, or he can ask us for recommendation on what goes well. Our team goes and applies those products there. So we are actually doing a lot of innovation and transfer of technologies there. We also have a joint venture with Yanmar, Japanese mechanization, where we are able to adapt some mechanization for smaller farms. How do we bring that and adapt that and pass that on to the farmers? Our retail stores work actually as platforms where farmers can walk in, see these new products, understand these new products. We run seminars or small educational sessions in our retail stores. So as a company, we are looking more towards educating, and we are feeling current access of farmers to various sources of digital information is actually changing, and it's a quite positive thing. Earlier, what you needed probably 2-3 years to convert a farmer into a good technology. Today, we have seen that he's faster. We are able to change farmers maybe in 1 season or 2 seasons. We've seen that with nanotechnology, nano fertilizers. When we launched, we were able to actually help farmer understand. Even initially when the nanotechnology was launched, there was a lot of notions: will it work, will it not? Through our digital campaigns, through our field promotions, through our demonstrations, we saw that adoption of farmers, especially for nano DAP, which we launched, was very fast. So I think the farmer has become more informed, more open to receiving information, and become more adaptive. I think that is something good for most of the input suppliers with us, because then we can actually bring in more technologies and take it to the farmer, and make farming more remunerative. I think as a country, because I keep looking at global markets. If you look at the Brazilian farmer, the way he runs his business, he's large, I agree, but I think the thought process that he has behind running his agriculture, he looks at what time to sell his commodity. He ties up with commodity traders. He knows when to sell. South of Brazil has smaller farmers, so they've created cooperatives to make more effective purchases. Whereas if you see the western and northern Brazilian farmers have adapted, because they're large, they can buy directly. Some of them start importing directly the products. That evolution of an informed farmer, I think we are slowly seeing in the more developing countries. If you see that in Africa also, and we're seeing that in India also. So I think that is something very good. And I think as responsible input suppliers, manufacturers and input suppliers, I think we should see how we can develop that, how we can propagate that kind of a thought process. I think that is something that Coromandel has been wanting to do, and I think that's what we are able to do in the recent past. So I think that's been a quite positive change, and we're quite happy, and that encourages us to bring more solutions. Now we are thinking of bringing, how can we create, let's say, a biological and a chemical products together. Like for example, if you're able to for a soil application, you can have a biological which controls nematodes. You can also bring some microbials which reduces releases the fixed nutrients in the soil. So you can give two type of solutions from the same application, bringing more what do you say, composite products together. So I think that way it's been quite engaging for us. We are investing more into our R&Ds in all these segments. We are growing on these segments. So I think that's been quite good. And like what Manoj was also telling, I think we are also collaborating with many of the multinationals who want to use us as a channel to reach out, especially in India, to the farmers, because of our reach in these segments. So I think that's been quite positive and encouraging to see how farmers are evolving and how we are able to play a role in that.
No, I totally agree. The companies which are already having captive access, deep access. I think a network today, whether it is a social network or is a digital network or even physical network, I think it is having a lot of importance. And the companies which have invested in that, they can reap the benefit provided they have that little bit of, I'm saying that a broader worldview of what they want to do. Because I'll be very frank with you, I engage with, in fact, every top large companies, whether it's a multinationals or is an Indian player company. And their challenge is that, the upgrade, right? So when we are looking for upgrade, whether at the zonal level or the regional level, right? They always have a budget constraint, right? So if I have to go and give a workshop to the chairmen and the CXOs, right, the budget is not a constraint. But as soon as it comes to lower down the line, that becomes a constraint. And these are the people who are the front-facing people, right? So for example, if I was give the example, one of the large companies, and I told them your people, right, they should use digital tool to be aware about what are the commodity market as well, right? Makka is all time low, and I'm trying to go to those type of farmers and trying to release a new product, right? He had a loss of a lakh of rupees per acre in the last season, and I go and tell him that actually I'm having a beautiful new molecule, please buy it, and this is gonna increase your productivity. He'll say, I had a great Makka crop last year, price crashed, I don't have money. Right. So I believe trickling effect down the line is also important. I'll again go back to Rajuji, to you, digital interventions are in brief, right? We have talked a lot about digital intervention, but it's not reaching the farmer, sir. What can be done with that?
No, I think Roshan Bhai already touched upon it. See, the great opportunity we have today is that we have a tremendous amount of digital, rather, I should say, database available. It is further being strengthened by way of creating a agri stack, which is already happening at the government of India level. It's also being created by multiple companies as they intervene in the market, collecting data. So one is that it's a digital has, so let me put it this way. Digital will have 3 or 4 applications. One of it definitely is communication, where you are able to talk about a solution that you're offering. So the ease of communicating and the clarity with which you can communicate and the fine tuning that you can create to suit different applications of your product, different across various regions, that is one great tool. So in the area of market communications, I think digital or technologies have really been adopted very well by everybody. I think almost every single company has a digital marketing wing. So that is definitely on. Number two is people are now wanting to create it from a one-way communication to a two-way communication, wherein the technologies like Mohan mentioned, farm to R&D, farm to lab, those data transfers have also started taking place because of the phones that people have in the phone. So if you have the app, if you have the right phone, click a picture. So either on the spot it will give you the remedy, or it will send it back to some kind of a. It will also send the data back to the originator of the app, who will then assess that for predicting how future solutions need to be prepared. So that is also happening to a great extent. Uh, Next stage comes is application technologies. I think drones have already started using a lot of this data uh, to be very precise as when we are going in for an intervention. What will take a little bit of time is the largest precision ag piece. Will take a little bit more time because even in the developed countries, it's taking a bit more time. Number two is that the farm holdings here are so small that for them, for the companies to make it a commercially viable option is becoming a challenge. For the farmer to be able to afford that kind of a cost is also becoming a bit of a challenge. But when as I see, there will be an aggregation happening moving forward, whether it is happening through FPOs or it is happening through whichever means, because it's a political subject. So let's see how it pans out. But aggregation of the land holdings will happen. The moment that happens, the what we call as the uh, ultra local or hyper local solution delivery would also happen by that. Not only advisory. So you will have advisory going to them. You will also have a solution going to them. So somebody like Roshan ji, I think he would not only tell the farmer, look, you have this issue, you're going to have this issue moving forward, and here is the solution that I'm going to deliver on this and this date. That is also happening. Okay, this is very close. I mean, I can see it clearly in front of my eyes that it's happening. The other one is Uberization. Uberization is another concept wherein you could possibly leverage the digital platforms to mechanize your farming completely, whether it be booking of the agriculture equipments, whether it even be a drone-based spraying application like we talked about here. Somebody wants a nano urea, nano DAP, or a pesticide to be applied. So they'll go to your app, book it, and then we ourselves developed an app for that at FMC. That it's a farmer booking app. So we do spraying services, and farmers book it on our app. So we deliver it there. I was just wondering, what did you mean that it is not adopted well? So I'm just
Sir, no, I'll add Raju bhai, I had very recently we did a lot of research, right, on adoption of digital technologies in India. We are thrown so many apps in the market, right? And we have tried to do the business model innovation, but anything which is hardly scientific or technical innovation in our digital footprint, right? Uberization again, it's this has been tried since 2001. I think there is EM3 or the company that tried, and they went through their own processes. many people came, many people went, but and even as you rightly said, like even some of the large tractor companies also there. I think there was one company, Pune-based company, John Deere,
John
right? They
Deere
also
Industry.
tried doing that. Yeah. They were trying, and then actually everything when failed, they come and back to say that farmer is too small, right? Holding is too small, and creating right number of volume is a little bit of a challenge. But I believe, like that personalization is what the technology is all about, right? Delivering of healthcare to the poorest person in insurance in 3 rupees, 5 rupees, 10 rupees per day was possible because of technical evaluation, right? Giving Jandan account was possible previously, like, to just maintain a bank account, it used to cost a bank 1400, 1500 rupees a month, right? So they said that you'll have to have minimum 15,000 rupees in sitting in your bank account, otherwise I cannot bank with you. Now that has gone down to level of like, there is, I think 8 rupees or 9 rupees per account is a maintenance fees by the bank. In agriculture, we dovetail and go back again there, like, that farmer is too small, right? So end of the day, we are creating a lot of application of, I'll just give you example, a company called Plantix, right? They are having the highest amount of data when it comes to like, crop disease and crop errors. They are able to charge their farmers. Why? Because farmer knows that the click of a button, I'll get the problem solved, right? Now, many companies who assume or talk about like, I'm having capability of with the photographs, will be able to tell you what is a disease or what is a problem. They end up telling like the problems which are actually doesn't exist, right? When you're having deficiency, you tell that actually there is a some sucking pest which has impacted you. So the problem is that farmer is not paying because of trust issue. So I'm seeing that and believe me, like 90% of applications which I've seen on the ground on the farmer's phone, right? They uninstall it like within span of 4 or 5 or 6 days because actually it has not worked for them. So this is what
Deepak
I'm
bhai,
saying that.
No,
Yeah, please,
I
please, please,
agree.
Mohanji. Yeah, yeah.
I will agree a
yeah, go
little
ahead.
bit with you, but I think I would also request you to acknowledge that we are at the initial end of the adoption cycle, very upfront in the beginning. Everywhere, digital application, wherever they have gone, forget about agriculture, wherever. I think the initial stage has been learning. But with AI becoming more accessible, machine learning becoming more accessible, I think those issues will be resolved moving forward.
No,
So
I'm
these are
optimistic,
these
Raju
are
bhai.
lots of
I'm optimistic. What I'm saying is that actually still there has to be signs where we are able to increase adoption, right?
see
Assuming
right
that
now.
technology is gonna eventually solve the problem someday, right? And frankly,
Technology is going to be enabling it, it will not solve. Solving will still be
exactly.
done by such people all who are sitting on their
Who are
panel
sitting in
here.
this, who are in the
They will
panel,
be
they have to
doing,
solve it.
but they will do it more efficiently, more effectively, leveraging the technology. Okay, so that's one. Number two here is that, you know, for example, you talk about Plantix. We are an investor in Plantix, but how to make commercial sense out of it? The scaling will happen only once we see a revenue model developing, right? Because right now, what is happening is we have lots of proof of concepts, lots of them. So we know we have the technology, right? Now, how to make this technology commercially viable both for the farmers and for for the offerer, whoever is offering? That is the challenge that all of us are trying to address, and it
Perfect.
has no easy answers because of the inherent complexity of this market. So
Right.
I'm not saying small farmer is a bad farmer. I'm definitely not saying that. What I'm saying is the adoption becomes way more easier if
When
you
it's
had a
large.
large farmer. For example, if I have a 10,000 hectare farm, I can tell you how the plant breathes in and breathes out also on a live basis. Okay, so technology is there. Now, should I bring the technology here? Who's going to pay me for that technology? So right now we are at a stage where I think we are largely ready with it. We are only waiting for the political decisions to be taken so that we can see very clearly chunks which can then be converted into centers of excellence. And from those centers of excellence will flow the dispersion towards all kind of farmers. I think Roshan and Mohan, you can add,
Yeah,
Manoj.
Monji, over to you because see, when we are talking about a VC-based system, right? As rightly mentioned by Raju bhai, you have proof of the concept. You look for an investor without knowing from where the revenue is going to be coming. But at the same time, when OpenAI was created, The first question was asked to the CEO, what would be the revenue model? He said, I don't know. Right. So sometimes you have to invest. And I think the people who are in this room, they have those capability, deep pockets to invest for the future. And eventually the business model is going to evolve. Your views, sir.
Deepak Bhai, I think with complete respects to what Raju Bhai has mentioned and other panelists like Manoj and Roshan Bhai also gave picture, our first fundamental that we need to understand is we are dealing not with a lifestyle commodity. We are dealing with, I mean, it's life. It's not lifestyle. It's his life or her life, right? So every penny that he or she is going to put onto the table will be out of trust. That is Indian farming. That is Indian farmer. It's not. For example, I'll tell you, we invested heavily into climate corp. It's our digital stuff, and for last 10 years we are working on it, pouring millions of dollars, rather billions of dollars, and
Billions.
it took its time, its sweet time, for a Western farmer also to say that precision farming or field view, which is now catching up in a very big way, is happening. So we had that patience, we had that investment, and we waited for the right time. Now the field view is becoming around almost 40% of US farmer are using that. That's creating a revenue for me. Now here, I don't see any reason that farmer is not interested on digital. But everybody out of enthusiasm, I have this app, I'm going to a farmer. Now
Exactly.
he tests it for 5 days, 10 days, or a season. Then he
No
says,
value.
no value, delete. Right? So every 3 months it happens or 5 months it happens, then he lose the trust on the digital piece. Now, until unless we create a robust system. Now, for example, I'll tell you, IPM, integrated pest management. Maybe from my university days, I was listening. What is adoption? I mean, it's very wrong question to ask because I was also propagating it, but it took its sweet time. Now we are adding more tools into it. Digital also became one of the tool into the integrated pest management or integrated, ICM kind of stuffs. Now, how we have to crack this is look at each crop in a different perspective. I mean, this is one way of looking at it. At least this is my philosophical theory that I'm trying to put across. For example, wheat farmer, what is his major constraint? His major constraint is phalaris minor. Now, if I go and give him, because I have a confidor, I have a XYZ sucking pest, I give him an app, oh, this is the way to identify your sucking pest. He don't care. For him, if it is a minor topic, right? So his major topic is how the phalaris minor should be controlled. What are the services your app can give to control, and after the application, the technology is working or not. So, post and pre-sale services that he is demanding from the app. Now, previously, we also used to do only mission, Uberization we tried. Now, when we shifted from Uberization to post services also, farmer adoption is much stronger. Now, this year, if I'm not wrong, I don't quote me on numbers, but 400 to 500 machines we deployed for the spraying of our herbicide, which we launched very new. It's a brand new herbicide. Uh, we thought we can sell hardly 20 to 25,000 liters. Believe me, we are at around 60,000 liters at this point of time. We couldn't supply because the services that he found with the Uberization, followed by the post sales and the trust that buyer has and the need that he had, it's happening. But is it complete for the other crops that he's going to grow? Tomorrow he's going to grow a spring corn. I'll tell you, this will not work. So we need to innovate, and it's a tailor-made situation. And because it's a very fragmented market and diverse market and highly complex. So if we are anticipating that like Blinkit. Blinkit came, urban, everybody jumped on it. Today, Blinkit is household name in 2 years or less than 2 years. It cannot happen in agriculture, Deepak bhai. I mean, we all are experienced majorly because of these constraints. And I fully agree with what Raju bhai said. We have the technology, but how to put it across to a soybean farmer, how to put it across to a rice farmer, and the same farmer who is going for different crops is a little question mark. Now, who cracks it definitely has uh, a good, I mean, first mover kind of benefit he is going to take, he or she is going to take. That's my take.
No, totally agree. So we'll go to Roshan ji. Before that, I'll just share you one small instance which happened with me. I was in Haryana talking to some of the farmers, talking about digital technology, right? The positives of it. And there was an old man actually in Haryana. They have this hookah. So he was
Right.
sitting very like he's a backbencher. And from there he shouted on me कि तेरे जैसे सब आके बेवकूफ बना के बहुत बार गए हैं. तो मैं पूछा ताऊ क्या हो गया. So he said that actually like तुम 1960 से बेवकूफ बना रहे हो. मैंने कहा सर पैदा ही नहीं हुआ था. Right, I'm 45, right? I was not there. So he told me in 1960s you came and you sold me fertilizer first. Right. After 20 years, because of the immunity of the plant was weak, I had to do the single type of cropping because you were only give recommendation of fertilizer for a specific type of variety. I did that. Then you came and you sold me pesticides. Right. And you said that I will become rich man. Then after some time, you said that these are not core chemicals are dangerous, and why you want to put so much of effort? You do mechanization, you buy tractor. So in 1990s, you sold me tractors. Now you come back after 20 years, right? And you tell me that do digital farming along with regenerative agriculture, right? Which I was doing in 1960s. So who is more intelligent? So I think that's the complexity of agriculture. Roshanji, to you, your views, sir, on digitization.
Yeah, so I think my understanding is what I have seen is we are trying to sell knowledge to the farmer. Now, most of the platforms that you're having, you go and say you take a picture and we'll tell you what is the pest and what is the solution. But we are not giving him the solution. I think that giving the last mile delivery is what the farmer is actually looking for. Because just to make you relate, let's say when Uber came, the app came, the app only tells you where are the taxis available, and this is the taxi phone number of the driver. You call him and ask him to come. You imagine how tedious or how easy would it have been. Now we are putting the farmer probably a little bit more difficult situation than that. We are telling you take a picture, this is the problem, we're creating a digital twin of the farm and say, okay, this is what you need, but we're not telling him how can he solve that problem effectively. I think that is where many of the input companies, many of the technologies companies need to come in together, or a large input company does forward invest in that digital, creates that platform, that ecosystem. I think we're still very far away from that ecosystem also, because that is more of a chicken and egg story. In our drone spraying application, we need to have a minimum X number. For example, every day you need to spray at least 30 acres of farm for that service to be at least cost effective, to be even breaking even, to cover the cost. Now the challenge is, how do I get 30 acres in a straight line that this vehicle can go spray and come back? Now, all these needs a lot of integration. Now, if farmers getting onto digital tools, farmers accepting these, we getting bookings in that line, or enough work has happened that we can actually dedicate an economic route for application. I think this is more of an industry evolution where I think many players have to come together and play. Principally like what we call network effect. Many things have to fall in place. I think probably many people sitting in this panel, we have to collaborate together, bring in more technology. How do we bring that service to the farmer? Not just Gyan Batna is easy. I don't think that he's looking for that. How do we make a solution provided to him? So I think that is where the whole issue is, and that's why even developed country we are seeing this challenge, because nobody is going and doing that last mile action. We're all telling him, digital is here, here's your digital twin, and what's your problem, but it doesn't connect you to the solution. And a quick example, Apollo has an app. You can call a doctor online. Apollo also has a pharmacy. You can buy the medicines, prescription. You close the loop in that app. Unfortunately, in our sector, we are not having something which closes the loop. I think that is where we need to work, is my thought.
And
No, I totally agree.
From a
Please,
multinational, from a multinational point of view, Rajan, I would substantiate your comment. It's not only giving the solution, but giving the solution at an affordable cost so that the person who is using, the consumer or the farmer, feels that it is viable for me, my return on investment is better. So that's where I think we all need to work together and put it across. I fully agree on the ecosystem, but it's all again to the cost economics of the farmer and as well as our business models.
You know
No,
what I
and
think. What I think,
here I
Deepak, is
Raju
a
bhai,
new
just a
breed.
small thing. You talked about agri-tech, and sir, actually, I was the person who was helping World Economic Forum to set AI for AI, which was the precursor of a concept note called IDEA by Government of India, on which agri-tech was which eventually created. Sir, it has become a Birbal ki khichdi. Right. It is getting cooked, and everybody is waiting that when the khichdi is there, I am already having my dahi with me. I'm having achar. I'm sitting with achar and dahi in my hand for nearly 6 years now. I believe, as Modi ji used to say when he was chief minister, I don't know whether he's the same view of once becoming a prime minister. He used to tell me that Deepak, asarkari is asarkari. That means private is effective, right? I think the stalwarts of industry need to come in India at least, and global south, and think of those scenario where actually you create agri-tech which is having the private investment shareholding and jointly can be used in a certain way. I don't know whether this can happen or not, but this is my initial view. Raju bhai, your thoughts?
No, it's happening. It's happening. So I've been meeting many people last 1 week or 10 days. A lot of stuff is happening. So I'm very happy looking at what's happening there. A lot of architecture, a lot of filling in of the architecture is happening with the data. I was coming to a point that I expect a new breed of intermediary to come in the whole game, which will be last mile delivery solution providers. I expect entrepreneurs to come in, that micro entrepreneurs to come in that segment, who can then, they would be the point of aggregation. Ideally, for me, somebody like FPO would have been the perfect fall for this. But since FPOs are still not very efficient, effective, except in one or two cases, but very clearly, the moment you provide some aggregation at the grassroots, the technologies will flow on its own. The technologies are waiting. They are there. They are waiting for the magnet, and the magnet is a consolidated piece of land where a economically viable delivery system can be provided. So it's like I said, everything is there. All it is waiting for is some kind of a viable piece of land which can offer that opportunity for delivery. It will also
Right.
happen. I think somebody like Manoj has to leverage his
Exactly.
parent
Corporate.
company, his parent
Yes.
company, or maybe
So that is only
uh,
not going to work, sir. Frankly, Raju bhai, right? The VLE model, it is not going to fly. It has failed substantially for very simple reason. आपको सीड बेचने के लिए लाइसेंस चाहिए, राइट? आपको पेस्टिसाइड बेचने के लिए लाइसेंस चाहिए, आपको बायोलॉजिकल बेचने के लिए लाइसेंस चाहिए, आपको इतने लाइसेंस चाहिए कि वो बेचारा जो आदमी, राइट, he try to become the aggregator and serve, say, for example, 400 or 500 farmers in his village or in his cluster, right? He will be in the government department sitting whole day. He cannot go to farmer. So the cooperative and FPO, with the blessings of the government, which is keeping a little bit, I'm saying that less regulation on that model. Manoj bhai, your view, you become the aggregator and we all chip in to support you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much. And I think that is one of the pain points which actually made us digress from the core purpose on which we founded this organization. In 2015 and 2016, whatever agricultural licenses we were able to make for the cooperative societies, we have been able to manage only from that. We have not been able to enroll newer societies only because they need diploma in agriculture, or and now someone has to make an effort to
now a
so
bachelor's degree.
so you need to run a corporate program in order to get some 100 cooperatives, get them trained into some institution for 6 months, make their entire transportation, logistics, staying arrangements, or some online thing. And once they complete that course certification, after that only their diploma is recognized, and then they get the pesticide license, right? So I think one of the biggest pain points in expanding the reach, and particularly we have experienced it, right? So what you were talking is really sounding thing. So in my opinion, as long as there need to be these kind of relaxation, though regulators took this kind of stand only from the point of view farmer should not be misguided. But farmer, when was he getting misguided? Right? Again, this is again a debatable issue. When was he not getting misguided earlier? He was getting misguided earlier. Can you stop getting him being misguided in future? I don't think there is any guarantee of doing that. So, in my opinion, we are not working on a laissez-faire. We are not working on an open market policy. We are trying to regulate everything, and then this is creating to an extent one trouble. So this is my take on that. I just wanted to add one or two more perspective on the digital
Please.
discussion what we were doing. I think what Mohan sir was talking of, this is a decision of life versus lifestyle, right? So when we talk of the same farmer is using digital apps when it is coming to lifestyle products, right? So whether making decisions related to lifestyle, but when it is coming to life, he is not. So in my opinion, the biggest factor is the years so far what we have been seeing, and we talk, there is more of individualization versus personalization. A farmer depends on a fellow farmer, or farmer depends on someone else recommendation in order to adopt a new technology. So in my opinion, what we were talking about, the new kind of entrepreneurs need to come forward in order to give that confidence to him, so that then only the reach of digital can be better and adoption of digital can be better. Otherwise, till such time we are in an early stage of the life cycle of the adoption, we are in the right place, there is no problem, but in my opinion it's going to take time. It's not a easy, or it's not a cakewalk. Yeah, thank you.
Manoj bhai, actually, going a little bit on marketing myself, I believe the messaging is also important, and we have seen adoption increasing. If trust factor is created and the right sort of messaging and right sort of structure is created, sometime you add up the cost in eventually service or product which you deliver. For example, we did for one of there is a ND, so I won't be mentioning the companies. So parametric insurance on a seed was given, right, and the cost was added to seed, and eventually it had both the company, the farmer, and it created higher sale, because farmer said that okay fine, it is insured, so guaranteed iske andar germination hoga. So those type of models we'll have to come with. Now coming to the last stage, with all your permission, let's talk a little bit about biologicals. I see again, just like digital, so much of hype created. Biological currently is just 1% of the total India's agriculture input market, right? And we have just started, and again we have seen that actually iron hand of the government, right, giving such a long regulatory path to get even one product registered, right? And I think back of the envelope calculation would be 25 to 30 lakh rupees would be spent just to get one biological product registered, and we expect the startups to take that burden. Starting with you, Mohanji, your views on biologicals? Is it only for the large companies which will be able to do it, or then the real innovation, because we have seen happens in startup, and the biological startups currently they are not happy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a chicken and egg story, Deepak. Very honestly, biologicals, even though it is 1% officially the market, but you will see plenty of biologicals in the name, quote unquote, chemicals laced biologicals
Bio.
sold in the market.
तो
And
केरोसिन बेच रहे हैं सर, बायोलॉजिकल नाम पे केरोसिन भी बिक रहा है.
कुछ भी, I mean, even the talcum powder is sold in the name of biologicals, right? For developing the soil nutrition XYZ. We all know that. I mean, let's be very honest on this. In a way, this legal guardrails that has been put in place, I'm not in full support of it, but I'm advocating to a larger extent at this point of time. We need some guardrails for that. Or else, say, Deepakji, you know it very well. Uh, the chili crop in the south and the chili farmer in the south has been utilized or used to the core by these biological components, right? Whether it's real biologicals or fake biologicals. Now, in this, who are sufferers? The original biological companies who are investing on the R&D, like, tea stains down south, up north, there are a couple of other companies. They are really suffering. I mean, they are propagating nicely the quality, shelf life, and for them, they need to get all the approvals. But fly by night operators, they are just evading everything. So at this point of time, to safeguard the farmer, even if the biological upspring happens in 2 years, 5 years down the line, this regulation is what, at least my view, we need to support. The second, because every
Sir,
innovation,
I agree with you, sir, that even regulation, once they got into FC was good. The problem is that the implementation on the ground.
yeah, yeah,
Right. So we keep on making rules so difficult, but at the same time, sir, I saw bottles which was having a label on that. You cannot go to court, right, in case this product creates damage to your crop.
I
Right. So
know,
that means it's a illogical, but those products are sold in a retailer shop and establishment is not able to do much about it. So what
yes.
I was just suggesting is that whatever rules we are having, let's say today, let's freeze it, we implement it. I think execution is lacking.
I'm coming there. I'm coming there, Deepak. Execution is lacking, and execution definitely will take some time. And it is started and getting executed in some of the states at this point of time. Like from starting from, you need a diploma or at least agriculture graduation certificate to be opening a shop, right? I mean, it is in place and happening. At least that will bring some sense for the retailer to sell something which is not legally viable as well as ethically viable. I'm expecting that people will move towards more ethical business at this point of time. But if I come to the core question, that is whether it will be useful or not. Yes, it is useful. We need to move towards biologicals, and every organization is looking for the biologicals. Not today. Even if you look at us as a big giant of chemistry in the past, I think in 2010 or 2012, we bought a American company, a biological company, for a Mammen total of 400 to 500 million euro. Now, that has definitely gave us some portfolio, some pipeline, and similarly, all other companies. If you look at it, moving towards green stuff, which is required to uh, avoid the pre-harvest applications, and also certain natural lights are coming in, or they're already in some of the multinational pipeline, and we are also selling one of the natural light. So these are the things that is required. And at the same time, if we have to restore our soil health, definitely we need some of the biologicals or natural products that has to be utilized, which comes from, historically, India is known for creating nice compost, vermicompost, or even neem cake and all this stuff, or some of the cow dung kind of thing. But that itself will not help the farmer to gain the yields. We need to combine all these technologies, coming from chemistry, coming from biologics, coming from digitals, or even AI at this point of time. If we don't make a complete uh, chain of it, it will not be beautiful for the farmer. So, in my opinion, it will take another 5 to 10 years, if not early. But definitely, this is going to happen. And some of the innovators who are the startups at this point of time, they need to find money to get legal approvals into coming into the market, rather than spending it on marketing gimmicks or even spending on lavish offices. For me, they need to spend on lavish labs and on marketing it through the companies like even Coromandel or even our BLFs. We are ready to give the platform for nothing. It's a zero cost. You can do your business through our BLFs, which is far-flung areas where our reach is enhanced at this point of time. So what I'm trying to say is modest investment of, gaining lot in the future can help you to put the farmer in safe hands, because tomorrow already we abuse the farmer to an extent that he don't believe if it is a biological or not, right? So for me, we need to help him in understand, like what we discussed in the digital. The ecosystem should be in such a way, the platform should provide him the trust that he can use it. Yeah, then it is very easy for us to move on. But yeah, there are
Perfect.
some products which are coming in nicely at this point of time. Deepak, which is enhancing in some of the horticulture crops. It's really working. It's
No,
really
sir,
working.
I've seen biological working. Only thing is that like not all biologicals are biological. That is a problem. Then the regulation is like tightening up in and affecting those innovations, right?
Yeah.
But as you rightly said, like we don't want to. In fact, you mentioned like if I don't get a Uber, I'll be late by 15 minutes. But if I give a wrong product to farmer, actually he will be down by 6 months at least,
Yeah.
right? Over to you, Roshan ji. Your views on biological, sir?
No, I think I fully agree. I think the challenge with I think what we were talking is most of the biologicals coming from startup. I think the bigger challenge is for them to reach the channel access to be able to reach farmers, and I think that is where collaboration will actually come. There are many good products we've seen with many startup companies which probably fail because they're not able to reach the farmer because these are concept sellings. You need to actually educate because he doesn't see immediate results. You'll have to use different ways of communicating to the farmer, convincing the farmer. So that kind of investments, whether these companies who have this technology have, I think is a challenge. So I think it needs more collaboration. And I think what Mr. Mohan was also suggesting, I think it'd be good if these companies come collaborate with larger companies who have channel access, work together. I think that's the way forward. Is my thought.
No, I totally agree. Like, company like you, SML, Bayer, like, they are having the platforms which can definitely be explored. Manoj, your views on biological, then we'll conclude with Raju bhai's final views on biological.
Yeah. So I think there are two things. One is, in my opinion, one is from innovation in biological perspective, and one is what is already innovated, making them reach, right? So what we were talking, what is already innovated has not yet reached. So my experience is we all of us agree biologicals are working, but there are current problems, right? So shelf life. So shelf life has been a challenge. If microorganism based products are there, they have got a shelf life challenges. If microorganism based products are not there, then there are no shelf life challenges. Then integrating them, microorganism product, that the compatibility issues are there. People are not aware of. A lot of experimentation in the field has to happen. In my opinion, there is definitely a good scope. I have myself seen some of the products working in the farmers field, not in the research trials, but in the farmer field. So making, and it is not that they are very expensive. So they are quite affordable to a farmer. Only thing that needs to be taught, what is the right time of application, what is the right place, and all those kind of. So more, in my opinion, education is going to play a big role. So in my opinion, I see that market is definitely going to adopt it. That is the need of the hour. Only thing is, who is able to educate the customer better is going to take the share. So that's what I my take on this. But overall, I am
Perfect.
positive on this.
Excellent. Raju bhai, your views on biological, sir?
No, I think yeah, I concur with all the speakers. Biologicals have a definite role to play, and will definitely be very effective in addressing the larger agricultural issues in coming future. The real challenge with biologicals is threefold. One is technology itself. I think right. Second is the commercial. Third is the regulation. So let me go to the commercial first. Biologicals are running today on tender basis everywhere. So वो जो L1 होता है, L1 means what? So keep looking for anything in it. So जब टेलीकॉम की बात कर रहे थे मोहन बाबू, वो वही चीज है, वही बिकता है. So I think we have to get out this whole category. We have to preserve, protect this category to grow it in future. It needs stewardship. Today, what is happening is there's a scavenging happening at that space. वो जिसको कोई काम नहीं होता है वो बायोलॉजिकल का फैक्ट्री डाल के बैठता है और वो बायोलॉजिकल बोल के टेंडर में घुस के सरकारी तंत्र में घुस के वो पूरा वाट लगा देता है. सो फार्मर का के लैंग्वेज में to understand to establish the credibility of a biological product is become a crisis by itself because of the early stage people who have not been serious. I think this is where the role for larger organizations comes into picture in bringing in technologies. In the technology space, I think where we have a restrictive regulation again here. Like for example, I've been trying to talk to government. Bayer has been wanting to talk to government. They do not allow us to bring our own germ plasmids into the country. It's not allowed to be imported. Microbial formulations are not allowed to be imported. How are you? And our own developed formulations have n number of issues: consistency issue, shelf life issue, efficacy issue. Uh, so, so I think this is where we need to have advanced countries technologies to come here so that we are able to raise the level of technology. Once the country technology level is raised, then you can grow the market on top of it. But if you want to grow from where we are, I think I'm not very, very positive. But there are segments, for example, within the larger biologicals, which are doing a reasonably good job, I should say. But what is the scope? Scope is tremendous. I think scope is phenomenal. And along with the organic movement that the country is trying to take, I think even sorry for going back to it, but integrated crop management में अगर जाएगा, there again there's a tremendous scope in across the line. For example, soil health, huge amount of scope, massive amount of scope in converting the soil into a living organism. Okay, now look at the nutrient availability per se. Tremendous amount of scope in NUE growth. Third, go to the stage of crop protection. Tremendous amount of scope in managing the resistance, because not many molecules will come in future. Pipeline is getting completely narrowed. So future is we are going to be forced to be living with the generics. बहुत ज़्यादा नहीं आने वाले हैं. I mean, being an innovator company also, I'm still saying that, because innovating has become so difficult and recovering those costs has become even more difficult with that. So जितना पैसा 300 मिलियन आगे लगाने वाले लोग बहुत कम मिलने वाले हैं आपको, unless companies continue to merge. So right, already you are seeing people have started demerging. So क्योंकि वो merge is also not helping now. So merge को demerge हो रहा है अभी. So I clearly see a tremendous scope for biologicals. What is required is an ecosystem. Ecosystem consists of innovators, public system, extension system, corporate houses, all working together, ensuring that we have stewardship given to this category of products so that they provide the requisite value to the farmers. That's my take.
Perfect. Thanks a lot. And it was a really interesting discussion. And with all the stalwarts talking about with the total expertise on this platform, I can tell you one thing. Like, I've been working to create those ecosystems, create those connects, and there has been a lot of success cases which we have seen happening. And going forward, also we continue to do that. Thanks everyone to join this agriculture roundtable, and we will be having 3 more. So tomorrow it is about seeds. Then day after it is about biological itself, where we'll be having a lot of startups talking about it. And then on the last day, the 4th day, that is on technology, which will have the mechanization to space. And thanks a lot to my panelists. Thank you for your time, and looking forward to engage with you again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks
Thank you,
everyone.
everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.